The case of Magomed Ankalaev is interesting to me because he is in a unique position very few have found themselves in. His situation is reminiscent of Bilal and Merab, both of whom have had to go above and beyond to receive their own title shots. In the case of Merab, this was elongated due to his refusal to fight long-term friend and teammate Aljamain Sterling, but for both of them, their wrestling-heavy approach led to them becoming despised by the general audience. Now make no mistake, this wasn't solely due to the fact that they wrestled. Charles Oliveira is a grappler, John Jones is a wrestler, Daniel Cormier is a wrestler, all of whom are loved by the fans. Maybe not John Jones these days, but for the most part, their fighting styles have been commended for being entertaining. The hatred for Bilal and Merab's style stems from the lack of danger they pose. What separates Merab and Bilal from those mentioned is that they simply refuse to take fight-ending actions. They treat each round as an individual fight or wrestling match they need to win, not end. Magomed Ankalaev, on the other hand, is different not in his approach but in his results. Contrary to popular belief, Ankalaev is primarily a striker, a kickboxer to be more specific. Striking is inherently more prone to finishing a fight than wrestling is, just as a matter of fact. To finish a fight on the ground takes a lot more intent and desire to do so than it would when you're striking. With striking, every single punch, kick, knee, and elbow can end a fight. Any singular takedown or grappling position cannot end a fight. A more accurate comparison to Ankalaev, that being the case, would be Leon Edwards. Just like Magomed Ankalaev, Leon, despite his victories and win streak, had fighters like Colby and Masvidal picked over him for a title shot against Kamaru Usman. He was a striker as well, but he and Ankalaev have one thing in common. They are what I like to call vanilla strikers. Vanilla strikers are very similar to point strikers in that they are very methodical and technical in their approach. They aren't necessarily looking to end a fight as they are looking to implement their style. Don't get me wrong, they aren't nearly as finish averse as point strikers are, but what they do take from point striking is the utter lack of visual appeal. Magomed Ankalaev has fought and beaten Thiago Santos, Nikita Krylov, and Volkan Ozdemir. I watched all three cards where these fights took place live, and before I started doing research for this video, I had completely forgotten those fights had even taken place. In the past 4 years, the most exciting thing Ankalaev has done is deliver a classic goofy Johnny Walker knockout, one that was immediately one-upped by Volkan Ozdemir just a few months later. Maybe you can count the Anthony Smith finish, but I made a promise to myself that since his loss on short notice to Roman Dolidze, he is no longer a name to proudly have on your resume. You might as well not have even fought him. It's just how I feel. Aside from that, he's had mid-performance after mid-performance, culminating in the ultimate mid-performance of his career, the draw against Jan Blachowicz. A fight that left such a bad taste in Dana White's mouth, he immediately announced Glover vs. Jamal not even 2 hours after the fight ended.
Thoughts on the main event?
What are you going to do? I think the main event was terrible. What are you going to do?
What about the scoring of it itself?
We've seen this. This is nothing new. It's like the Paddy Pimblett fight. It's like Gordon had a horrible game plan going into that third round. You think you won the first 2 rounds with the judges? I mean, how do you know that? Why go in there and throw away the third round and not go in and fight your ass off and try to win? If you think you know who won what round or whatever, you're crazy. I've been doing this for 23 years. I have no fucking idea what those guys are going to do or what they're going to say. So, yeah.
Did you have anybody winning in the main event? Did you have it?
I don't even know. I started to zone out after like fucking 3 rounds. So, I heard that Ankalaev is upset and whatever. What do you want me to do? You got beat up the first 2 rounds and you took him to the ground. You started. What are you going to do?
Well, I guess the question is, what do you do now, right? I mean, vacant title, a split.
You do Glover versus Jamal Hill in Brazil for the vacant title.
Is that done?
Done.
Thanks for breaking some news there.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what I do.
For fighters like Strickland, Bilal, and Merab, who may not have the most fight-friendly fight style, their out-of-fight personalities enable them to somewhat garner a relevant sized fan base that they can leverage to pressure the UFC somewhat into giving them fights or title fights that they may want. Ankalaev simply does not have that. His manager constantly tweeting on Twitter or X or whatever doesn't help because people see right through it and it comes across as fake and inauthentic. None of this is to take away from Ankalaev, by the way. He is a talented fighter that's clearly doing something right. He's winning. And I'm sure there's people out there that enjoy watching vanilla or even point striking. Karate is an Olympic sport, for God's sake, so I'm sure someone finds that appealing. But you also need to understand those people are not the majority. In fact, they are the vast minority. His fight with Rakic took place a week ago. This was supposed to be his moment to show everyone that he is the one to take out the biggest star the UFC has currently, Alex Pereira. This was his chance to shut everyone up and show them that he is the guy. Instead, it just proved to be the standard Ankalaev fight, vanilla and forgettable. His post-fight interview from a week ago got less views than Yusuf Zalal's interview from just a day ago, barely a day ago. It was the only fight on the main card to not have a single moment worth posting on TNT Sports. Every single fight, Sharaputin Magomedov and Armin Petrosyan, Ilian Max obviously, Hamzat Whitaker, even Dan Ige and Lerone Murphy had something to show. Except Ankalaev and Rakic. Which perfectly captures my entire point. Even when given the stage to thrive and show he can be what the UFC needs him to be, he always comes up short. And he has no one to blame but himself. This is not to say he doesn't deserve or shouldn't get a title shot, but hopefully it gives you a better understanding of why this situation has played out the way it did. The UFC is as much entertainment as it is sport. Too many people choose to ignore how important the entertainment aspect is. There's a reason grappling and wrestling sports aren't as popular or profitable as striking sports. No one is going to pay $80 a pay-per-view to watch a fight that they won't remember a day after it happens. It's that simple. But yeah, just wanted to get my thoughts out. Peace.